And about a year ago, we started building, or we started thinking about what a virtual politician may look like. This is mostly together with my co-founders, Nick Garrison and Andrew Smith. So I'm a program director at the media design department of Victoria University of Wellington. Nick is an entrepreneur and Andrew is the CEO of TouchTech, a local technology company. And basically the premise for our project asks about the status quo of politics today. So we're basically in the 21st century, but we're kind of stuck with a political system that stems from the 19th century, which is kind of, especially in Western democracies, we can see this in many parliaments today. And mostly this project stems from the various dissatisfactions around the fact that political systems are in a way inadequate to address several current issues. Some of them were mentioned in other presentations earlier as well. And then, of course, the voters, they can see this, or also they can feel this. So basically today, voters occupy a different space of thought than what their political system allows them to participate in. So for example, in New Zealand, voters participate once every 3 years. In countries like the Netherlands, I think also here in the US, it's once every 4 years. But it's kind of strange, right? It's like we want to participate in a democracy, but the chance to do so is actually only once every so odd years. And what we're trying to move towards is this idea of participatory democracy, but then also in real time, sort of real-time participatory democracy. We have all the technology in place that would allow us to do so, but we're not really utilizing it to the fullest extent. So politics needs to adapt. And our premise, or one of the assumptions that we're working with, is also that politics, same as any other startup culture or technical culture today, politics is not immune to technological disruption. And we feel that rather than waiting for this disruption to happen elsewhere, we basically picked up the task and started working on it. So obviously, to set up an infrastructure that would allow for virtual politicians or a virtualized political system to exist, today there's different technical approaches or socio-technical approaches you could take. Blockchain secured voting could be one of them. Of course, personalized media consumption is a big thing already, as with the micro-targeting that we recently learned a lot more about after the Cambridge Analytica disclosures. But of course also data-driven policy, radical transparency, and more towards the topic of today, artificial intelligence. So I'll speak a bit more about the AI side of things in relation to our project. And of course on the need for ethics in this area. This is a quote from an earlier news article that came out about our project, where we stated, if as a nation we can become more aware of how AI is already being used and sometimes harmfully, and have a system in place that people can have a say about and have access to higher level perspectives generated by big data. So usually these perspectives today obviously are monetized by big companies rather than working for the benefit of the people. Then we think that is better than leaving these technologies in the hands of multinational companies like Facebook and Google, who are already influencing us. And this quote stems from before the Cambridge Analytica disclosure, but of course we were kind of aware of that situation existing already. So this kind of reality kind of caught up with this recently. So the current state of the project, we built a team, or we set up a team. Could you play this video, please? First one. So we've got, I've got 2 videos to show today also. But unfortunately, they weren't embedded properly. PowerPoints. This. So it's in the phone. So as with any design project, I guess. We started from a phase of speculative design, so there was a lot of thinking, a lot of research, a lot of anticipation on what we could do to make this project a reality. What you see here is part of a campaign, basically, also to make the public aware that this is something we were trying to do. And also you have to keep in mind that we just had a run of elections in New Zealand, and we were kind of hoping that we could participate that in that run of the elections somehow. But of course, from some point on, if you're trying to do a campaign of any kind, you have to kind of stop it at some point, because also some of our connections were basically implying that we couldn't influence public opinion too much, because that would interfere with the actual election. So this campaign was mostly directed towards people on social media, and at this time also we started developing chatbot functionality that was deployed on Facebook and Twitter. So we had a Facebook Messenger bot and also a Twitter bot that people could interact with, and basically any of the questions or the interactions that people had with these chatbots, they already inform our system. So there's machine learning and neural nets running in the background that ingest the data that people input, and from that data, the system eventually learns better what people are actually concerned about, what people actually really feel about the political situation, or how they switch back, or how they might want to see change in the future. So here is also the idea that if the people themselves can better inform the contents of politics, then we believe that that might be a better situation for all. So, Sam, the project's name stems from this idea of it being a semantic analysis machine. Obviously, the infrastructure that we're proposing is much further reaching than that, but it's essentially an experiment to test the interface between technology and politics. A virtual politician, ability to interact directly with the public, so like I said also earlier, rather than participating only very infrequently, we believe that through a system like this, people can actually participate in politics all the time. So the vision for this particular project going forward is an evolving AI politician that coexists with traditional politicians, a system that drives political engagement and stimulates discussion, again, about the role of technology in politics. And this is obviously today very much on the people's minds, because we have various instances globally that basically show the people in general that technology is really influencing politics, and this is a fairly new notion. Possibly at least in relation to young voters as well, who are very accustomed to the technology and the social media channels that they use, but they still have to become aware and used to the idea that they also become, or they gain agency in the political system as well. So how do you then behave through those systems too? And in terms of the social technical sphere that this project exists in, we very much work in this idea of GovTech, so government technology. Could you show the second? So here are some examples from actual conversations that take place through this system. Of course, at this stage, we're mostly only talking chatbots. So what you see here is examples of what a chatbot might work like as a politician. So the audience can ask certain questions like, how do you learn? And then you get a basic response. Why should I vote? So here, of course, audience engagement or voter participation stimulation becomes kind of like instrumentalized. It becomes a tool of sorts to make people aware that they do actually have a role in politics to play. but of course, the state of the technology is similar to what some of the earlier presenters said, is that the technology is changing so fast, but we as a team essentially made the decision to start the project and have the technology evolve around us rather than waiting for something to happen, at which point you could say, oh, now we're actually going to do something. No, we actually decided that we were just going to do the thing and then basically work with the technology changing in an agile fashion, so that the system may improve over time, but that at least already the people, again, in relation to this media campaign, for example, as well, is that at least the people can already get used to the idea that maybe in the future these systems become more commonplace. Can you switch back to the presentation? So essentially here also, we moved the project out of the speculative stage and are essentially doing it. So as a demo of sorts, we recently had our biggest showcase so far at the D5 Summit, which was held in Wellington and Auckland in New Zealand, or actually in various locations around New Zealand. The D5 is a group of the leading digital nations of the world. So this is Israel, Estonia, South Korea, the UK and New Zealand. I think after this particular summit, they expanded to be the D7. So I'm pretty sure that after the next summit, there might be more countries involved in that as well. But we were in the fortunate occasion that we were able to have our Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, present alongside Sam, or basically she introduced the conference and or the summit and the topics and also the showcase area that we were part of. And luckily we also got her to interact with the virtual politician, and she made a nice remark saying that we shouldn't develop the technology too fast because she was afraid she might be out of a job. And interestingly also, because she's a very nice and engaging person as well, she also wanted to ask Sam a question, and she posed quite a tricky one on, I think it was, how may we bridge the digital divide? And our main developer and programmer was kind of sweating in the background. But the machine was actually able, or basically the tech was actually able to answer, so we were quite happy with that. So moving forward, we have several pilot projects underway. So this is current and ongoing prototyping. Basically, we're actually doing this thing with the New Zealand government, but we branch out in a very broad manner so that we can at some point bring those pilot projects together, and together those things then become the infrastructure that may inform the system for the future. So we have some front end or consumer facing projects underway for Ministry for the Environment and the Ministry of Education. So that's kind of, they're looking to up their game in audience participation or engagement models. Of course, we also need backend functionality. So we're developing part of the backend functionality together with Stats and Z, so the statistics department. Because of course, it's nice to have an interactive system where people can participate and the system can learn from that, but we also aim this system to be trained on bulk policy data. So basically, the machine learning side of it needs to understand what political policy is also about. So that's kind of stuff that we feed it in that sense. So similar with Parliament and Parliament itself, for the Office of the Clerk and also the Electoral Commission, we're also discussing with them on how to implement instances of this technology going forward. And then an upcoming showcase will be with the Business Energy Council, and we'll be doing a bespoke demo again for the 2018 Asia Pacific Energy Leaders Summit, which will also be in New Zealand, I believe in October. So, as alluded to a little bit already, what we're currently making is basically bespoke development and implementation of various tools and techniques in the periphery of current AI thinking and practice. So I say in the periphery because we kind of utilize the fact that AI at the moment is a very favorable buzz term, but obviously a lot of what we're doing technically is not strict AI. It is actually quite a vast array of different technologies that we're trying to compile. And also this thing with chatbots. So this quote also says, the technology is very interesting at this stage, and with chatbots we already have AI that is consumer-facing and widely accepted. Our project is symptomatic of that because today it's much easier to put an idea like this in front of a general audience and have them understand what the implications might be. So basically what that means is that people are already so used to chatbots on, for example, Facebook and Twitter, that going forward it becomes much easier to kind of beyond the scaremongering around AI. It is actually similar to what I think Max was also saying, that it's actually much more likely that people would be quite favorable towards these developments and actually understand, like, hey, this will be kind of a nice thing and a good thing. So that's also a very positive approach that we're trying to take, and also we position ourselves in that space. Obviously, some of the pilot projects underway again need perspectives on ethics, and interestingly, these projects that are already happening with the various government departments, they connect very nicely to the AIWS model that was put forward, or the Artificial Intelligence World Society model that was put forward here also by the Boston Global Forum. So mostly, as you could see from the examples, we would be kind of situated in layer number 6, which is the public service layer, because of these projects with actual government departments who are looking to engage better with their audiences, and like this could be education or the justice system, transportation department as well. And to close off, we have a couple of challenges in front of us, which we basically see as opportunities at the same time. So we are still fascinated by this idea of having the virtual politician actually run for the elections. So this is really what we're trying to aim for the New Zealand 2020 elections. This is not necessarily to say that we feel this needs to happen, but for us it is basically in the spirit of disruption. We're looking for the problems, right? It's like, if you actually try to do this and people will tell you it's not possible, at least we will understand better why it might not be possible, and then we can work towards changing that for the future. If everybody still agrees, that might be a good idea. Of course, cybersecurity is a massive challenge in relation to this project. But also, again, on the ethical topic, we really strive to implement ethics by design, same as how in the software engineering a popular term is security by design. So we really believe, again, post-Cambridge Analytica, that beyond security by design, we also really need to start building systems that are ethical by design. So that's another challenge that we have, and that's all for the SAM project today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.